All right, good. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all are tuning in okay. My name is Daniel García Ordaz, and I am the poet mariachi. The name of the book that I will be reading from, it's a forthcoming book. It's a practice, there's a practice book here. It's called Read Until You Bleed, and it has illustrations from my son when he was younger, and it's got some cool stuff going on. The illustrations are pretty legit. All right, so my name is Daniel García Ordaz, and I want to say thank you to the Bryan House for the invitation to participate in Earth Day 2020. And I want to go ahead and share some of my poems. My poetry that I'm going to share today is about some of my favorite animals that are out there. And sometimes it's important to, when you're a creative person, to suspend disbelief and just play with your imagination, just have fun. I think that's what God did when he created, animals. And so there's magic and fantasy involved in some of these poems. So I like to use syllables, I like to use rhythm, and I like to use rhyming also. I don't rhyme all the time, but I do like to rhyme. And let's see. So sometimes I make up words, so you might have to kind of think about some of that, or I'll use words that you might have to look up or Google or check the meaning of it or check the dictionary. So I hope that you all enjoy this. Let's see. So the first poem is A Purple Cow. I wish I had a purple cow. It's such a lovely hue. I wonder if the chocolate milk would come out purple too. Thank you. Una vaca morada, or púrpura, depending on where you're from. A tabby cat. I wish I had a tabby cat. He'd probably eat my Skittles. Indubitably fat. He'd eat my doggy's victuals. Sometimes cats bully dogs. So yeah. Now this one's, kind of out there. It's a little bit different. This is called A Yellow Rat. So just if you're just joining us, this is part of an Earth Day celebration reading, and my name is Daniel García Ordaz, and the book is called Read Until You Bleed, and I'm sharing some of the poems from my book that's forthcoming, a future book here in my hand. This is a practice version that's going to be hopefully published, in the near future. And so I'm sharing a few poems about animals and nature. A yellow rat. I wish I had a fat yellow rat. I'd name him Butter, or maybe Pat. I'd feed him bananas and American cheese, so he'd stay super yellow, but fuzzy like bees. His paws would be black, though I'd paint his claws neon so they could glow. That might sound kind of silly, but it's not a lark. I could easily track him even in the dark. If he ever got loose at night from his cage, I could never do that if he was gray or beige. Thank you. Thank you for all the applause. That's lovely. And I have, I think, maybe about 3 more poems that I will share with you. This is called A Blue Raccoon. I wish I had a blue raccoon. I'd build him a trunk in my mansion on the moon. He'd sneak out at night looking for food in trash cans. I know that sounds frivolous, but even in space, raccoons are mischievous. And all the astronaut ladies would wink and say hi, and me and my raccoon would just nod and reply, how you doing? I added the how you doing part. It's not part of the original poem. So I hope everyone's doing well, and I'm sharing some of my poems as part of an Earth Day celebration, and I want to thank again the Bryan House for inviting me to participate. So here's a poem called A Pink Alligator. I wish I had a pink alligator. I'd call him Croc, or see you later. He'd wear a tutu on Friday nights. He'd stroll the lake to cause some frights. He'd have a social media page and make $1 million wage. He'd crush some Lego towers for fun or play Godzilla on the run. He'd be invited to all the quinceañeras, dance with the morenitas and the güeras. He'd learn the cha-cha and sachet and drink soy lattes at a cafe. A pink alligator. Now this last poem is called a green giraffe. I wish I had a green giraffe. Most people think that quite a gaffe. But it's no blunder, error, solecism. My giraffe could handle criticism. It would take some guts to be so green, hence the giraffe would have to be mean, but only to protect her team. The pattern on every giraffe is quite unique, just the way God intended. That's so chic, c'est magnifique. Her camouflage cloak would allow her to sneak up to all the tall, oblivious forests and eat its softest, cleanest leaves, and the trees wouldn't even bark. Hello, is the microphone on? The trees wouldn't even bark. That's a nature joke. That's called a pun. My green giraffe would ride the waves on top of surfboards for days on days. She'd join the circus to make pizza. She'd juggle the dough and add some pizza. Sally Green, my giraffe queen, would break all the worldwide records for the longest, blondest braided hair and the mostest spotted rainbow glitter freckle-eckers. That's my green giraffe. So a lot of these poems are a little bit silly, but they're about being different. They're about being a little bit different and not being unique and breaking the mold. And that takes guts, that takes courage, because what happens when you're a little bit different from other people? Well, sometimes people make fun of you. They single you out. They make a point out of noticing your differences instead of making a point of embracing the things that make us similar. And so it takes some toughness to be a kid who's a little bit different, who has different colored hair or whatever. And it takes some guts to be an animal that's a little bit different from the other ones. But wear that with pride, be yourself, be unique, and remember what Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood would say. You're perfect just the way you are. And I think that's how God intended us to be. And so my name is Daniel Garcia, and the name of the book is Read Until You Bleed. It's not out yet, but these are some of the poems that are in here. There's other poems about pet names and other things like that. So find me at Poet Mariachi or wherever you can find me, Amazon or Goodreads or this website called Facebook, not MySpace, that's gone. And hopefully I will get to know you. My website on Facebook, rather, there is a group on Facebook called Read Until You Bleed, just like the book. And so even though the book's not out there, you can also find me. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your Earth Day celebration. I want to thank Ariel King for including me and the folks at the Bryan House in Mission, Texas, on the border of Deep South Texas. And I do want to say, before I leave, shout out to McAllen, Texas. Shout out to my students at La Jolla Early College High School. Shout out to the Mission Eagles, because that's where I graduated from high school from. Shout out to my Navy buddies. And back to McAllen, Texas, we in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley, we make about $350 million. There's a $350 million economic impact from ecotourism and things like the border wall and things like other policies. And yes, the coronavirus affecting us right now are affecting that big time. But we have some in the valley. We have some birds, some animals that are only here in northern Mexico or South Texas, deep South Texas, like chachalacas in the Rio Grande Valley, like ocelots and other animals. And we have more birds in Texas. Just in all of Texas, we have more bird species than they do in all of Europe. And so we live in a unique place, and it's important for us to take care of our natural surroundings. And so happy Earth Day, everybody, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all next time. Take care.